War in the Inner Sphere had rules, not written ones. Nobody had ever sat down and codified the specific etiquette of 5 great houses dismantling each other's civilizations across centuries of conflict. But rules, nonetheless. The kind that accumulated in the bones of every admiral, every intelligence officer, every mech warrior who had grown up inside the game and learned its rhythms the way you learned a language. Not from books, but from living inside it until it became the only way you knew how to think. You knew your enemies by name. You knew their doctrine, their political pressure points, their supply lines, their preferred formations, the specific ways they cheated and the specific ways they didn't. House Davion hit hard and fast and dared you to match them. House Steiner spent money until the problem went away. The House Kurita wrapped everything in honor and then did whatever the honor required, which was sometimes terrible and sometimes beautiful, and always consistent. House Liao was paranoid and fractured and perpetually underestimated, which was the most dangerous thing you could be in the Inner Sphere. House Merrick argued with itself and then, occasionally, produced something technically brilliant from the argument. Pirates were simpler, pirates raided, pirates ran. Pirates had the specific predictable quality of people who needed to steal because they couldn't build. Their tactics were opportunism dressed as strategy. Their technology was borrowed or broken. Their ambitions were limited by their imagination, and their imagination was limited by their circumstances. The Inner Sphere understood pirates. The Inner Sphere understood everything in its sky. That was the first problem. The second problem arrived as a gravitational anomaly at the Periphery border at 0341 on a Tuesday, which was the specific kind of arrival that the universe preferred for things that changed everything. Not dramatic, not announced, not preceded by the kind of signal that would have given anyone time to prepare. Just ships, black hulls in the dark, glowing orange eyes where bridges should have been, broadcasting in a language that matched nothing in any intelligence archive across all 5 great houses, all the minor states, all the mercenary registries, all the Periphery catalogs going back 3 centuries. And the Inner Sphere looked at those ships and reached for the nearest familiar category and called them pirates. That was the mistake that started everything. Lieutenant Commander Adaze Okafor had been on the Periphery border for 14 months and had personally logged 42 pirate contacts in that time, which was a record for the FSS-determined principle, and which she cited regularly in her reports to Avalon City, with the specific energy of someone who wanted a better posting and understood that visibility was the path to it. She was good at her job. That was, in retrospect, part of the problem. Commander, her sensor analyst, Petty Officer Deshi Nakamura, had the voice he used when he wasn't sure whether what he was seeing was a sensor artifact or something real, which was the voice that Okafor had learned to take seriously even when she didn't show it. I'm getting something at grid 779er. Ye gravitational reading that doesn't match any jump signature in the database. Doesn't match, Okafor said, not looking up from her console. Or hasn't resolved yet. Doesn't match, Nakamura said. I mean, it's not even close. A standard Kearney-Fuchida jump has a specific gravitational signature. This is, he paused. This is like someone described a jump drive to someone who had never seen one. and they built something that accomplished the same thing through a completely different method. So, pirates with salvage technology, Okafor said. Nakamura looked at his screen, back at Okafor. Commander, I don't think Nakamura. She said his name with the patient finality of someone closing a topic. What do pirates in the periphery always have? He sighed. Salvage technology. What do pirates in the periphery always do with salvage technology? Modify it until it barely works and then use it until it explodes. So the signature is unusual because they've modified a jump drive until the gravitational signature is unrecognizable, Nakamura said, completing her sentence with the tone of someone who didn't believe what they were saying but couldn't immediately disprove it. Right, Okafor confirmed. She looked up from her console. On the main display, the gravitational anomaly had resolved into something visible. A cluster of ships holding position at the edge of sensor range. The determined principles identification system ran its recognition cycle and returned something that Okafor had never seen in 14 months of border patrol. No match. A not probable match with a low confidence percentage. Not closest match with 3 candidates listed in descending order of likelihood. No match. Huh, she said. Yeah, Nakamura said. She studied the silhouettes on the display. Angular, dark, the specific design philosophy of ships built by people who had decided that aesthetics were a luxury and function was the only currency that mattered. Weapon arrays in positions that didn't correspond to any doctrine she'd been trained to identify. And the hull color. Not the standard gray or white or the painted heraldry of a great house fleet. Black in the specific way that something was black when it had been designed to be, not when it had just been painted that way. How many? She said. 11 vessels confirmed, possibly more outside sensor range. Nakamura paused. Commander, their smallest ship is the size of our largest. Pirates with big ships, Okafor said. Commander, Nakamura, I need you to hear me. She leaned back in her chair with the specific authority of someone who had been right 42 times and was not yet aware that the 43rd was different. Everything that arrives unexpectedly at the periphery border that we don't recognize is one of 4 things. It's a house scout running a black operation. It's a mercenary company that forgot to file their transit papers, which happens more than command wants to admit. It's a periphery state that's gotten ambitious above its capability. Or it's pirates. She gestured at the display. These are not a house black operation. Too many ships, wrong profile. They're not mercenaries, no transponder, no registry code, no attempt to establish identity. They're not a periphery state. No state in the periphery has this tonnage. She paused. So, pirates, Nakamura said. Pirates, Okafor confirmed. Nakamura looked at the display, at the 11 ships, minimum, sitting at the edge of sensor range, with the specific stillness of something that was not lost and was not hiding and was not waiting for anything. The stillness of something that had arrived exactly where it intended to arrive and was assessing what it had found. Commander, he said, pirates run when they're spotted. Not always. Pirates run when they're spotted by a military vessel. Nakamura. Commander, they haven't moved. We lit them up with active sensors 4 minutes ago. Standard pirate response to active military sensor contact is immediate evasive action or immediate aggressive action. They're doing neither. He paused. They're just sitting there, looking at us. Okafor looked at the display, at the 11 ships, at the stillness of them. Arrogant pirates, she said finally. Open a channel, let's introduce ourselves. Nakamura opened the channel. He would later tell this story at every bar on every station he was posted to for the next 20 years. He would tell it the same way every time. He would always pause at this moment, the moment just before Okafor spoke, when the channel was open and the silence on the other end was the silence of something that was already listening, had been listening since before they opened the channel. The silence of something that had been watching them watch it, and finding the watching instructive. Okafor straightened in her chair. She had a voice for pirate channels. Every Border Patrol commander developed one, authoritative without being aggressive, firm without providing the specific kind of provocation that turned a negotiation into a firefight before you were ready for a firefight. The voice of the inner sphere, talking to the people it had decided were beneath it, but preferred to manage from a distance. She used it now. Unidentified vessels, you have entered Federated Suns territory. This is Lieutenant Commander Adazi Okafor of the FSS Determined Principle. Identify yourselves, state your business, and prepare for inspection. Non-compliance will be treated as hostile intent. She released the transmit key. Nakamura watched his board. The response came back in 11 seconds, which was fast, faster than pirates usually responded, because pirates usually spent a few seconds debating internally, which showed up as a delay before the channel opened. This had no delay. The channel opened the moment the response was ready, which meant the response had been ready before she finished speaking. Lieutenant Commander Okafor. The voice was deep, accented in a way that matched nothing in her linguistic database. Not the regional variations of the inner sphere, not the dialect drift of the periphery, not anything that matched any human language pattern she had ever encountered. The accent of someone speaking a language that was not there first in the specific way, of someone who had learned it precisely and completely, and retained none of the warmth that native speakers embedded in their speech. Your territory, the voice said. A pause. I find it interesting that you apply the word yours to empty space. What precisely did you do to earn it? Okafor blinked. Nakamura made a small sound that he would later describe as involuntary. She recovered quickly. 14 months of border patrol had given her a wide range of opening gambits to respond to, and philosophical challenge to the concept of territorial sovereignty was not in the range, but she was adaptable. Federated Suns territorial claims in this region have been established and recognized for over 2 centuries, she said. Regardless of how you feel about the concept of territorial sovereignty, you are in our space and you need to identify yourselves. Another pause, slightly longer. 2 centuries, the voice said, and something in the way he said it communicated clearly that 2 centuries was a time frame he found either very short or very strange. Your civilization has existed for centuries. In those centuries, you have claimed the space between your worlds and called the claiming ownership. A pause. We existed for centuries before we were removed from everything we owned. The universe did not honor our claim. Your claims are paper. The universe reads paper in a specific way. Another pause. It burns. Nakamura slowly turned to look at Okafor. She made a small hand gesture that meant, "Do not say anything." "I'm going to ask you one more time," she said, keeping her voice level with the specific effort of someone performing calmness they were no longer fully feeling. "Identify your vessels. Identify your command authority. State your purpose in this system." The pause this time was long enough that she thought for a moment that the channel had closed. Then the voice returned. "We are the HELGHAST." The word meant nothing to her. Nothing in her training, nothing in her 14 months, nothing in 3 decades of being a citizen of the Federated Suns. "Never heard of you," she said. "No," the voice said, "you have not. This is because your archives contain only things that have intersected with your civilization. We have not intersected with your civilization before today." A pause. "That changes now." "Are you claiming this system?" she said. "Not yet," the voice said. "We are assessing it." "There is a difference between claiming and assessing, Lieutenant Commander. One requires information, the other only requires arrogance." A pause that felt, somehow, like a precise calibration. "Your transmission carries the specific confidence of people who have never been seriously wrong about something important. I recognize it. Your civilization has been safe long enough that safety has become invisible to you. It feels like the natural condition of things rather than a circumstance that requires constant maintenance." Okafor opened her mouth, closed it. "I'm going to need you to hold your position while I contact my superiors," she said. "Of course," the voice said. "We will use the time productively. Your tactical patterns are broadcast in the movement of your ship. You pivot to starboard when you are establishing a communication position. You run your active sensors in a sequence that prioritizes forward arc. Your power signature increases slightly when your weapons are moving to ready status." A pause. "We have been observing since you detected us. We find observation more valuable than reaction." Another pause. "Lieutenant Commander, a courtesy. Send your deterrence fleet. Whatever is standard for this category of contact." Another pause. And this one had something in it that was not quite amusement and was not quite contempt, and was the specific frequency that lived between those two things. "We will give you time to send it. We will use the time to ensure our crews have eaten. A battle should not interrupt a meal." The channel closed. Nakamura stared at his console. "Commander," he said, "I don't think those are pirates." Okafor stared at the display, at the 11 ships, at the stillness that had not changed, that would not change. She understood now because the stillness was not patience, it was not waiting, it was the specific quality of something that had already decided and was simply allowing time to pass until the situation caught up with the decision. "No," she said quietly. She reached for the command channel to contact Admiral Ngozi. "I don't think they are either." Admiral Henrietta Ngozi had commanded the 14th Davian Border Fleet for 6 years and had fought pirates, suppressed rebellions, escorted 3 diplomatic convoys through contested space, and once, memorably, talked a Periphery warlord out of glassing his own capital city because the warlord had confused his own capital with an enemy's capital due to a navigational error that nobody on his bridge had been willing to correct. She was not easily impressed. she was also not easily alarmed. She listened to Okafor's report with the focused attention of a woman who was already composing her response before the report finished. "Philosophical objections to territorial sovereignty," she said. "Yes, Admiral." "During first contact." "Yes, Admiral." "And they told you to send the deterrence fleet." "They suggested it, Admiral. They said they'd use the time to make sure their crews had eaten." A pause. "That's either the most arrogant pirate band I've ever heard of," Ngozi said, "or it's something else." "I believe it's something else, Admiral." "Noted, Commander." Ngozi was already pulling up the sensor data Okafor had transmitted, the ship profiles, the weapon arrays, the gravitational anomaly that didn't match any known jump signature. "I'm going to send the deterrence package anyway. 3 destroyers, 8 escorts, standard anti-piracy configuration." She paused. "If they're pirates, it'll end quickly. If they're not, Admiral, I'd recommend I'll be in communication with them throughout, Commander. We'll know quickly enough what they are." Another pause. "Philosophical pirates haven't seen that before." She almost sounded amused. "What did the voice sound like?" Okafor thought about the voice. "Like someone who had thought about the question you were asking before you asked it," she said, "and had also thought about the questions you didn't know you were going to ask." Ngozi was quiet for a moment. "Stay on station, Commander. Record everything." "Yes, Admiral." The deterrence fleet arrived at 1420. Commander Petrov Ilyich of the destroyer FSS Relentless Standard had been sent on anti-piracy operations 11 times in his career and had never once needed more than 40 minutes to resolve them. He opened the channel with the specific confidence of a man who had never been wrong about this particular kind of problem. "Unidentified vessels. This is Commander Ilyich of the Federated Suns Navy. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You have 5 minutes to comply before we begin suppression operations." He released the transmit key. His tactical officer, a young lieutenant named Espinoza, watched the sensor display. "They're not powering down," Espinoza said. "Give them the 5 minutes," Ilyich said. "Sir," Espinoza said, they're moving into formation. Not defensive, not evasive." He paused. "Offensive." "Attack formation," Ilyich said. "No, sir, that's the thing." Espinoza stared at his display. It's like a firing solution. It's like they've already run the firing solution and they're positioning for optimal effect." He looked up. "Before the 5 minutes, before we even..." The HELGHAST voice came through the open channel. Not Vikor this time, someone else. A tactical officer. By the tone, the specific flat delivery of someone for whom communication during combat was information transfer rather than conversation. "Your formation has 3 primary weaknesses. Your lead destroyer leaves a 32-degree firing arc undefended on its starboard ventral quarter. Your escorts are grouped for mutual support, but the grouping creates a kill zone for sustained area fire. Your fleet commander's command vessel is identifiable by its sensor array configuration and is positioned in a location that assumes your opponents will prioritize flanking rather than direct engagement." A pause. "We will not be flanking." Ilyich looked at Espinoza. Espinoza looked at Ilyich. "Sir," Espinoza said quietly, "they just described our entire tactical disposition." From passive observation, Illich said. Yes, sir. Illich opened the command channel to Admiral Ngozi. Admiral, I think we may have a situation. He did not finish the sentence. The HELGHAST opened fire. 6 minutes and 14 seconds. That was the full duration of the engagement, from first weapons discharge to the last inner sphere vessel going dark. Okafor listened to it from the determined principle. Not watched. Her sensor range didn't cover the engagement directly. She had the audio from the fleet's combat channels and Nakamura's secondary sensor data, which gave her positions and power signatures without visuals. She heard Illich's final transmission, break off, all vessels, break, followed by the specific sound of a communications array going offline. She heard Espinosa's voice 2 minutes in, describing something that his training had no language for. And as she heard the fleet's combat network go silent, 1 ship at a time, 11 ships, 12 minutes of silence. Then the HELGHAST channel opened. The deep voice, the accented precision, not Illich. Illich's voice was gone. Lieutenant Commander Okafor, the voice said, I believe this engagement is complete. She had to clear her throat before she could respond. How many survivors? Sufficient, the voice said. We are not interested in massacres, Lieutenant Commander. Survivors carry information. We want your command structure to have information. A pause. We gave your fleet 6 minutes. A courtesy. We did not want to appear rushed. Another pause, and the pause had the quality of something, considering how to phrase what came next. They fought well within their doctrine. Their doctrine was designed for a different category of opponent. I would not characterize it as a failure of their courage, only a failure of their preparation. A pause. Tell your admiral, we are not pirates. Tell her, the category she has been using to understand us has now been retired. We are the HELGHAST. We suggest she find better categories. The channel closed. Nakamura was very still. Commander, he said finally, what do we do? Okafor looked at the display, at the 11 ships, back in their original positions, at the space where 11 Federated Suns vessels had been. She thought about the voice, about the firing solution described before the fighting started, about 6 minutes. We record everything, she said. Every second of it, every transmission, every sensor reading. She paused. And then we transmit it to every house intelligence service simultaneously, because whatever just happened, nobody should be the only ones who know about it. Nakamura started compiling the transmission. Commander, he said quietly, they told us to send the fleet. I know. They told us before we sent it. I know. He stopped, tried again. They waited for us to send it. Okafor looked at the display. I know, Nakamura, she said. She thought about the voice saying, a battle should not interrupt a meal. I know. The footage arrived at Avalon City at 0211 the following morning. It arrived simultaneously at New Samarkand, Atreus, Sion, and Tharkad, because Okafor had been serious about the simultaneous transmission and because the specific quality of what she had sent communicated clearly, even before anyone watched it, that this was the kind of information that became dangerous if only one person had it. The House Davion Intelligence Directorate had a night watch team, 3 analysts whose specific job was to receive transmissions that arrived at hours when senior personnel were asleep and determine with brutal efficiency whether the transmission warranted waking senior personnel. The Night Watch team watched 4 minutes of footage. Then they woke Director Castellan. Then Director Castellan watched 4 minutes of footage. Then she woke Field Marshal Sorensen. Then Field Marshal Sorensen watched 4 minutes of footage. Then he woke Prince's champion Ivan Hasek-Davion. By 0400, there were 11 people in the Intelligence Directorate's primary briefing room, and none of them had slept. And none of them were thinking about sleep, and the footage was playing on its 7th loop because every time it finished, someone said, "Run it again," and nobody argued. Senior analyst Brennan Tarquin had been with the Directorate for 22 years. He had analyzed Kurita ambushes, Steiner economic warfare operations, Liao intelligence infiltrations, Marek internal political collapses, and more pirate actions than he could accurately count. He had a framework for everything. The frameworks were good. The frameworks had served him and the Directorate for 22 years. Now he was on his 7th viewing of the footage, and his frameworks were not helping. "Run it again," he said. The junior analyst beside him, Keiko Murakami, 8 months in, still carrying the specific brightness of someone who had not yet had their frameworks stress-tested, ran it again without comment. They watched in silence. The HELGHAST fleet's opening salvo. The way the 3 destroyers were engaged, not sequentially, but simultaneously. 3 separate targeting solutions executed with a precision that required either extraordinary coordination or a fire control system that operated at a speed human reflexes couldn't match. Possibly both. The way the escorts were handled, not destroyed first, not ignored, but specifically suppressed. Weapons disabled, drives compromised. The escorts left unable to fight or flee, but structurally intact, which was not how you fought pirates, was not how you fought anything if destruction was your goal. Destruction was not the goal, control was the goal. The engagement had been an exercise in control. "Pause it there," Tarquin said. Murakami paused it, on the frozen frame, one of the HELGHAST vessels, in mid-engagement, its weapon signatures visible on the thermal overlay. The pattern of fire was not the pattern of aggression. It was the pattern of someone solving a problem with the minimum necessary force, with the specific efficiency of a craftsman who did not waste material. "They're not trying to destroy," Tarquin said, not to Murakami, to himself, working through it out loud. "No," said Director Castellan from across the table. "They're trying to demonstrate." Tarquin looked at her. "They wanted us to see exactly what they could do," she said. "Survivors aren't mercy. Survivors are a transmission medium." She paused. "They didn't destroy the fleet because they wanted us to receive a very specific message." "Which is," Field Marshal Sorensen said. "That they chose to leave survivors," Castellan said. "That the choice was theirs. That our entire fleet was within their ability to destroy, and they decided for their own reasons to exercise restraint." She paused. "They're not demonstrating power, they're demonstrating judgment, which is more frightening." The room was quiet. "Run it again," Tarquin said. Murakami ran it again. By the 6th hour, the room had produced 17 analytical frameworks for what the footage represented. 14 of them used the word pirate in some form. Tarquin had crossed out every one of those 14. "We keep returning to the pirate framework," he said. standing at the briefing board with the specific energy of someone who had been awake for 6 hours and was running on the specific fuel that impossible problems provided, because the pirate framework is the closest available category. Unknown ships, no registry, no recognized affiliation, periphery contact. We have a category for this, and the category is wrong, said a quiet voice. Everyone looked at junior analyst Murakami. She had the expression of someone who had said the thing and was now committed to it. The pirate framework requires pirates to behave like pirates, she said. Pirates maximize yield. They take what they can, they withdraw to safety. They return to the same pattern. Every action in the pirate framework is driven by resource acquisition. She pointed at the frozen footage. These vessels did not take anything, not salvage, not cargo, not technology from the destroyed, from the disabled vessels. She corrected herself. They destroyed nothing they didn't need to disable. They left survivors. They told us to send the fleet before we sent it, and then they waited for it to arrive. She paused. Pirates don't do that. Pirates don't give advance warning of their own effectiveness. There's no profit in it. Then what do they want? Sorensen said. I don't know yet, Murakami said, but I know what they don't want. They don't want to be misunderstood. She paused. Everything they've done has been legible, intentional. They want us to understand exactly what happened and exactly what they are. She paused again. The problem is we don't have the category for what they are, so we keep trying to fit them into the categories we have. The room was quiet. Tarquin looked at the board, at 14 crossed-out frameworks, at the footage paused on the thermal overlay of weapons fire that was too precise, too controlled, too purposeful to be anything that his 22 years of frameworks had a name for. Run it again, he said. Sir, Murakami said, we've watched it 40. Run it again. She ran it again. And in the 3rd hour of the 7th loop, Tarquin finally put down his stylus and said, to nobody specifically and everybody simultaneously, the thing that the room had been building toward for 6 hours. This is not pirate technology, he said. This is not pirate doctrine. This is not pirate anything. He looked at the display. Everything about this engagement is the engagement of a military force that has been at war for a very long time, against enemies who gave them no margin for inefficiency. He paused. You don't develop this kind of precision from raiding. You develop it from surviving, from fighting repeatedly against opponents who would destroy you if you made a mistake, and learning over decades, maybe generations, to not make mistakes. He paused again. This is what a military looks like when losing is not an option, because losing means extinction. The room absorbed this. Then what are we looking at? Sorensen said. Tarquin looked at the footage, at the 11 black ships still visible in the background of the final frames, at the survivors drifting in the spaces where 3 destroyers and 8 escorts had been. We are looking, he said carefully, slowly, with the specific weight of someone who understood that the next sentence was going to change the meeting, and then the day, and then the week, and then possibly a great deal more, at what happens when you mistake the answer to a question for the question itself. Sorensen frowned. What question? The question every civilization eventually asks, Tarquin said. Whether the universe will let them exist. He paused. Most civilizations get to ask it once, early, And then the answer is yes, and they move on and they forget they ever asked it. He paused. Some civilizations have to keep asking. Every year, every generation, every battle. He turned to face the room. The ones who have to keep asking develop a different relationship with the question. He paused one final time. We did not encounter pirates. We encountered a civilization that has been answering that question since before some of our great houses were founded. He looked at the display, and we already started a war with them. The room was very quiet. Murakami looked at the footage, at the 11 ships, at the stillness of them. Sir, she said quietly, they're moving. Tarquin turned. On the display, the HELGHAST fleet had broken from their holding position, not toward the survivors, not toward the Federated Sun's border, deeper into Federated Sun's space. Not raiding, Murakami said, almost to herself, not plundering. She watched the formation, the specific, purposeful geometry of it, the way 11 ships moved as one organism with a clear direction and a clear destination, and the specific unhurriedness of something that had already decided and was simply executing the decision. Advancing. Sorensen was already reaching for the command channel. Get me the other houses, he said. All of them, now. Tarquin was still looking at the display, at the fleet moving deeper, at the footage of 6 minutes, at the crossed-out frameworks. He thought about what Castellan had said. They're not demonstrating power, they're demonstrating judgment. He thought about the voice on the recording, the accented precision of it, the way it had said, your civilization has been safe long enough that safety has become invisible to you. He thought about what it meant to encounter something that had been answering the survival question every year, every generation, every battle. Then he said the thing he would say quietly to Murakami in the hallway, 3 hours later after the emergency session had begun, and the great houses were arguing and nothing had been decided yet. The first mistake was calling them pirates, he said. She looked at him. What's the second mistake? She said. Thinking we understand what we're dealing with now that we've stopped calling them pirates, he said. We've changed the label. We haven't changed the depth of our understanding. He paused. We went from 0 to 1. We need to get to 10, and they are not going to wait for us to get to 10. She looked at the display, at the fleet, moving deeper. How much time do we have? She said. Tarquin watched the formation on the screen, the unhurried geometry of it, the specific patience of 11 ships that knew exactly where they were going. Enough to make the right mistakes, he said, not enough to make the wrong ones twice. The flagship of the HELGHAST expeditionary fleet was called the Autarch's Promise. This was not a name that had been given to it by its builders. The original vessel, a heavy carrier redesignated and refitted after the fall of Helghan, had been called something administrative and numerical, the way military vessels were named when the people naming them were thinking about logistics rather than meaning. Colonel Taras Vikor had renamed it when command was given to him because he believed that ships carried the intention of their naming into every engagement, and he had intentions he wanted carried. The Autarch's Promise was not a beautiful ship. It was large, angular, functional, in the way that things were functional when beauty had been stripped away, not by neglect but by deliberate prioritization. Every surface served a purpose. Every system existed because its absence would cost lives. The HELGHAST did not decorate their warships, they armed them. Vikor's command bridge had one personal addition, a small photograph fixed to the console beside his station with the specific permanence of something that had survived multiple ship transfers and been placed in each new location before anything else was unpacked. The photograph showed a city, or what had been a city. The ruins of Periphery, taken from orbit 3 years after the evacuation. What remained of Helgen's capital after the war and the atmosphere collapse and everything that followed. He looked at it before every significant decision, not as grief, not as anger, as orientation. This is what we are. This is what was done to us. This is why we do not stop. Senior Officer Mira Sorel entered the bridge with the specific quality she brought to everything. Efficient, direct, carrying information in the organized way of someone who had learned that Vikor's time was a resource to be spent carefully. The Inner Sphere transmission networks are active, she said. They're sharing the footage of the engagement across multiple house intelligence channels simultaneously. Good, Vikor said, without looking up from the star map he was studying. The analysis will take them time. They'll initially try to categorize us within existing frameworks. They already have, Vikor said. The patrol commander used the word pirates 7 times in her initial report. Sorel paused. You intercepted her report. We've been intercepting their communications since we arrived, Vikor said. So their encryption is... He paused, considering the diplomatic weight of the word he was selecting, earnest. Sorel allowed herself a small expression that was not quite a smile. And now? Now they're arguing. He looked up at the communications display, where the intercepted house intelligence traffic was running in a secondary window. Not translated. The translation team was working on it. But the volume of the traffic communicated everything it needed to communicate without translation. 11 different analytical frameworks in 6 hours, 14 if you count the variations. He paused. One of them is correct, the young analyst, the one who said they don't want to be misunderstood. She's right, Sorel said. She is right, Vikor agreed. She will be ignored because she is junior and because the correct analysis is the one that requires the most framework revision, and organizations always process the analysis that requires the least revision first. He returned to the star map. They will arrive at accurate eventually. We will give them time. The advance is drawing attention, Sorel said. They are mobilizing a larger response. Of course they are. He studied the map. What is the composition? House Davian is assembling a task force. Preliminary estimates: 7 destroyers, 20 escorts, 2 assault dropship carriers. She paused. We're also seeing communication traffic consistent with inter-house coordination. Vikor looked up. The houses are talking to each other. Yes, sir. He was quiet for a moment. That is the most significant development since our arrival, he said. More significant than the deterrence fleet. More significant than their intelligence activity. He paused. 5 houses that have been at war with each other for centuries, coordinating in response to us. Another pause. We've done something in 4 days that their common enemies couldn't achieve in 400 years. He almost smiled. We've given them something they hate more than each other. Should I be concerned that you find that amusing, Colonel? Sorel said. You should be concerned if I find it flattering, he said. I find it informative. A coalition formed from mutual fear is the weakest kind of coalition. Every member is calculating what they can afford to contribute without becoming vulnerable to the other members. The contribution of each is determined not by what the situation requires, but by what their allies gain from the situation costs them. He paused. A coalition like that has one failure mode. You apply pressure to the seam between two members who distrust each other more than they fear you, and the coalition separates before it ever becomes effective. And do we apply that pressure? Sorel said. Not yet, Vikor said. Right now we need them coordinated. A coordinated enemy sends its best. A fragmented enemy sends its second best at different times and in different directions. He paused. I want to see their best. You want to be assessed, Sorel said. I want accurate intelligence on what this inner sphere is capable of when it is trying. He looked at the star map. We are going to live here. I want to understand what our neighbors are capable of before we choose where to put down roots. The mess hall on Deck 6 was not a place that Doctrine covered. Doctrine covered engagement protocols, targeting priorities, defensive formations, the chain of command for 47 specific scenarios and 9 general ones. Doctrine did not cover what a HELGHAST infantry squad was supposed to do with 40 minutes of downtime on a flagship that was advancing into enemy space at a deliberately unhurried pace. Sergeant Cass Valter had solved this problem in the way she solved most problems. She found the best available option and committed to it without apology. The best available option was a card game called Grinders that had been invented by someone in the 3rd Infantry Division approximately 40 years ago and had propagated through the HELGHAST military establishment with the specific infectious spread of something that filled a need nobody had articulated, but everybody felt. Private Drenmako was losing. He had been losing for 20 minutes with the specific consistency of someone who had learned the rules of the game accurately and completely, and was missing the invisible second game that the experienced players were actually playing. You're looking at the cards, said Private First Class Yeva Ostan, who was winning with the specific contentment of someone for whom winning at Grinders was a natural state. I'm supposed to be looking at the cards, Mako said, but the cards are the game. The cards are what the game is about, Ostan said. The game is about everyone else. That's the same thing. Sergeant, Ostan said, without looking up from her hand. Tell him it's not the same thing. Sergeant Valter was drinking something that the mess hall's synthesizer described as coffee adjacent, and that tasted, in her assessment, like coffee had been described to someone who had never tasted it, and they had made their best effort. She drank it anyway because the alternative was nothing. It's not the same thing, she said. Mako looked at his cards. How long until we're in range of their next response fleet? He said. Why? Valtir said. I'm trying to figure out how many more hands I have before I need to focus. You should always be focused, Ostan said, he taking his last viable card with the calm efficiency of a veteran. I'm focused, Mako said. I'm focused on how much I'm losing. That is the correct focus, Valter said. Understanding your current position with accuracy is the foundation of every other decision. Mako looked at her. Sergeant, is there a situation that you cannot connect to military philosophy? No, Walter said simply. Ostan laid down her winning hand. Mako stared at it. I had 3 more moves, he said. You had the idea of 3 more moves, Ostan said. I had already accounted for all 3 of them. She paused. That's the game, not what you're planning. What I've already planned for your planning. Mako was quiet for a moment. Is that what we're doing out here? He said. To these inner sphere people. The table was quiet, but not uncomfortable quiet. The quiet of people who had been soldiers long enough to recognize when a real question had entered a casual conversation. Walter set down her coffee-adjacent beverage. They called us pirates, she said. I know, Mako said. I heard the transmission. They called us pirates because that was the closest available category, Walter said. They have categories for everything in their sky. They've been fighting each other for so long that their entire understanding of threat is built from what they know about each other. She paused. We are not in any of their categories. Does that make them stupid? Mako said. No, Walter said. It makes them experienced at the wrong things. She paused. There is a difference between a soldier who has fought 100 battles and a soldier who has fought the same battle 100 times. The inner sphere has fought the same battle for centuries. Different names on the units. Same battle. She looked at her hands, at the specific quality of hands that had been in armor for most of their existence. We have not fought the same battle twice. Every battle we have fought was for survival against a new configuration of the thing trying to end us. That produces a different kind of soldier. What kind? Mako said. Walter picked up her cards for the next hand. The kind that does not confuse familiarity with understanding, she said. The kind that looks at something it has never seen and does not immediately reach for a category. The kind that asks, what is this, before it asks, what does this look like? She paused. The inner sphere looked at us and asked what we looked like. They decided we looked like pirates. She began distributing cards. They will revise. They always revise eventually. But the revision costs them time, and time is the one resource we do not have in abundance. Why? Mako said. Walter looked at him. Because we need a home, she said. Simply, without drama, the flat honesty of someone stating a fact that had been true for 30 years and had not become less true through the stating. We have been in transit for long enough. The fleet needs ground under it. The children who were born after Helgen need to know what ground feels like. She paused. Now every day we spend in the political games of this inner sphere is a day we are not home. She picked up her cards. That is why we do not have time to waste on being misunderstood. Mako looked at his cards, then at the table. Then at Sergeant Walter with the specific expression of a young soldier who has received a piece of understanding that is going to stay with him. Sergeant, he said. Private. We're going to find it, aren't we? He said. The home. Walter looked at her cards, at the star map visible through the mess hall's small viewport. The inner sphere spread out in the dark. World after world after world, more worlds than any one civilization needed. Yes, she said. She said it the way she said everything that mattered, not with hope, with certainty. We are the people who refuse to accept the endings the universe writes for us, she said quietly. We have been rewriting them since before you were born. We are not going to stop now. Ostan dealt the next hand. Mako picked up his cards. Outside the viewport, the inner sphere continued, vast and complicated, and full of civilizations that had been fighting each other for so long they had forgotten what it looked like to fight something that didn't know the rules of their game. On the bridge above, Vikor studied his star map. Sorel entered with the latest intelligence intercept. The inner sphere's 5 houses, coordinating for the first time in decades, assembling their response, arguing about categories and frameworks, and what precisely they were dealing with. Vikor read the intercept, read it again. Then he said the thing that Sorel would remember for the rest of her career, the thing she would quote in 3 different briefings and 1 memoir and a speech she gave at an officers' dinner 20 years later when someone asked her when she knew. He said, "They are still arguing about what we are. Good. Arguing people are not yet fighting people, and we need the time." She looked at him. "What do we need the time for, Colonel?" He looked at the star map, at the inner sphere, at the world spread across it like lights in a darkness that had been dark for 30 years. "To find the right one," he said. "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to raid. We are not here to demonstrate our capability to people who will not understand the demonstration until it is too late for the understanding to help them." He placed 1 finger on the map, on a single world. "We are here to come home," he said, "and home requires choosing carefully." Sorel looked at the world he had indicated, at the single point of light on the map. "And when we've chosen," she said. Vikor was quiet for a long moment. Outside the viewport, the stars of the inner sphere turned in their ancient, patient way, indifferent to the civilizations that had been fighting over the spaces between them. "Then we will stop being something they argue about," he said quietly, "and start being something they have to answer." The inner sphere was mobilizing. It was doing it badly. 5 houses coordinating like 5 conductors attempting to lead the same orchestra from different scores and different keys. But it was mobilizing, which was itself a historical event, significant enough that 3 separate military historians in 3 separate star systems noted the date in their personal records and would later argue about its significance in papers that missed the point entirely. The analysts had finally written the correct report. Not pirates. Something else. Something without a name in any archive. Something that had arrived not from the known periphery, but from somewhere that the periphery's maps ran out, and the question marks began. Something that fought with the specific efficiency of a civilization that had been answering the survival question every year, every generation, every battle, and had never once been allowed to stop answering it. 17 analytical frameworks, 14 crossed out, 3 remaining, all pointing in the same direction. In the corridors of 5 great houses, the arguments were beginning that would define the next months, maybe years. How to fight it, whether to fight it, what it wanted, what it would accept, what could be offered that would make it stop. Nobody had yet asked the right question. Nobody had yet asked, what do you offer a civilization that doesn't want what you have? On the Autarch's promise, Colonel Taras Vikor stood at the viewport of his command bridge in the specific hour between ship's night and ship's morning, when the bridge ran on reduced crew and the decisions of the day had been made and the decisions of tomorrow had not yet arrived. He looked at the stars, at the inner sphere spread before him, at the world he had marked on the map. He had been a soldier for 31 years. He had fought on Helgen and off it, in the years before the fall and in the years after, in the specific grinding way of someone who had never known what it was to fight for anything except the right to continue existing. He had buried soldiers who had died with that right unresolved. He had given speeches over their graves that said the right words, the words about sacrifice, about purpose, about the HELGHAST people and the HELGHAST destiny, and had meant all of them and had also privately carried the specific weight of someone who was asking the sacrifice before he could offer the destination. He could offer the destination now, one world, the right world. He looked at the stars and said, "Unto no one in particular, and to every dead soldier he had ever buried, the thing that he had not yet said to Sorel, or to the officers, or to the crew. They think we want their worlds," he said quietly. "They have begun their mobilization. Their great political machine is turning, slowly, noisily, with the specific friction of 5 civilizations that hate each other trying to point themselves in the same direction." He paused. "They do not understand yet. We do not want their worlds. We want one world to build something on, one world to give the children who were born in transit and have never known what permanent means." He paused again. "The tragedy for them is that one of their worlds is going to become that world, and there is nothing in their centuries of political games, nothing in their 17 analytical frameworks, nothing in their great archives of every war they have ever fought against every enemy they have ever known." He placed his hand against the viewport, against the cold of the transparency, against the stars. "That has prepared them for an enemy who is not trying to win." The stars turned. The inner sphere mobilized slowly, badly, historically. And in the days to come, the great houses will send their best diplomat. The HELGHAST will send their honest answer. And the inner sphere will discover, in the space between those two things, what happens when centuries of political games meet a civilization that learned, a long time ago, that the only game worth playing is the one called survival, because the HELGHAST were never pirates. They were something the inner sphere had no word for. An empire with nothing left to lose, and everything left to find.